I know some people are still trickling in. I think we've got a pretty good audience so far. Skip, where are you at right now?
So if you want to, so I got the microphone and I got the guitar. We can have a good
Oh my goodness.
time.
Nobody knew they were signing up for an improv
that's
sing-along session
that's
here.
exactly right. We can all sing some songs and have a good time and talk about outbounding. I'm in San Jose, California.
Oh my goodness. So
But
you
born
are,
and raised in Ohio. So if there's any Browns or Indians fans, they get extra credit points.
if you're a Browns fan, you need a lot more than an extra credit point.
Well, we did beat the Cowboys, so
What? Fake news.
yeah, fake news. That's exactly right. And the problem is in my poll, I took the Cowboys because I knew the Browns weren't going to beat them. So
This is the year of surprises. Maybe the Browns are going to win the Super Bowl. Who knows? But if it happens, you heard it here first, folks.
yeah, there you go. These Texans, they just always think big. There you go.
That's true. I don't think anyone could ever criticize me for thinking at the small little picture. Don't put baby in a corner here.
Now we're going back to Flashdance. Oh man, there you go. Dirty Dancing.
You know, I actually just saw that movie probably back in February for the first time. We just moved to the burbs, and we're the only ones in our neighborhood with no kids under 40. And so I was like, surely I'll just join the HOA and be like one of those cool neighbors. And it's quite funny whenever the HOA meetings are at my house with our social committee and welcome committee, because all the moms will stay for like 2 hours after and drink all of my alcohol. And they'll be like, oh, honey, the meeting's just going really late. We're so sorry. Can you put the kids to sleep? Let me know whenever they're in bed. But they love all these what's his face movies. And so we watch that. We watch Roadhouse. And I'm like, good Lord.
There you go. You gotta watch them. And when you start getting kids, especially if you have a boy, the movie you gotta watch is Sandlot.
Sandlot. Oh.
Oh yeah.
Throwing it back there. Throwing it back. Well, hey everyone, we're gonna kind of get started here. My name is Katie Ray. I am the community engagement manager over here at Sales Hacker. We are so excited to have the fabulous Skip Miller here. And just a reminder, all of your questions, I threw the link in the chat. Keep posting them over at Sales Hacker, and we're going to be going through them today. And I'm so excited to get Skip's great ideas. And Skip, I'll let you introduce yourself, and we'll just get going here. So,
hi, I'm Skip. Let's go.
I feel like I needed a margarita for this call today. Get the guitar and margarita. We'll stuff it.
Yeah, we got to get rolling here. Let's go.
Okay, so first question. I'm pulling it straight from the page here. First off, we've got a lot of great questions. Looks like 30 questions. So we've got one. So Skip, from your experience, how could one tailor their outbound approach to individuals at manager level to supercharge their open and reply rates for individuals that work in finance?
I'm a firm believer that experience is what you get when you didn't get what you really wanted. And if you've got a ton of experience, that helps. And that's so true. You know, you could A/B test, you could do whatever you want to. You got to get it out there. I mean, when I did the research for the book, I probably interviewed 30 companies, and there were some really good ones. I mean, you know, Zoom and Snowflake and Tableau and stuff. And what sets them apart is they just keep trying different things, and they take their successes and they learn from their failures. Yeah. I know this email works. Oh, no, it doesn't. Fail fast.
Yeah.
So the best experience is velocity is probably one of the best things I can tell people. This is Wednesday. I sent somebody an email on Monday. I'll touch them again tomorrow or Friday. No, you don't. you can't let the best outbounding strategies are stories. So your first touch blends with your second, blends with your third, blends with your fourth. And if you allow 2 to 3 days max in between touches, you got to start the story over again. So the point is, you know, the best experience is try to build rapport with that prospect. The best rapport is by telling stories, analogies. hi, my name is, hi, I'm still trying to get a hold of you. Hi, I'm still trying to get a hold of you. Hi, my mother returns my calls better than you do. I mean, just, and I'll use humor, but just to get some activity going. So the best experience is to just do as much as you can, A/B test things. Um, I've seen examples from billion-dollar companies to $10 million startups to companies who are supposed to be experts in this. And on their 330-word email, which is way too big, right? They use the word I about 40 times. So just constantly test is probably my best advice back.
So I've got a personal question. I recently came from field sales, and there was a new girl that was moved into sales, and I told her, I said, no, you literally need to touch them every day, whether it be an email every day, a phone call, a LinkedIn message, a comment on their post, sending them something, you name it. But I really think you should do this. And she's like, I just think that's excessive. And I was like, it is excessive. However, whenever every other company is doing that as well, and you're not, they're not going to remember you for not doing that. They're not going to say, oh, this one person is so wonderful, they emailed me once, I remember exactly who they are. So I'd be curious to hear from your perspective on the enterprise level. Whenever our touches do look a little bit differently, one, do you think they actually do look differently? And then following up on that, do you think whenever you're working, an 8 to 12 month long sales cycle, how do you vary those touches for success to keep that storytelling?
So 8 to 12 month sales cycle. Remember, outbounding is for that first touch. Once they pass stage 0, you should be then in discovery or initial interest or educate, whatever you want to talk about that. So I'm assuming that you're talking about, Katie, trying to get that first touch, try to build that first meeting is
Yep.
where we're going there. And sometimes it does take 4 or 5, 6 months. The Every day might be a tad excessive. Every other day is probably better. What we see is typically people doing every 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th day, which is way not enough.
Yeah.
We believe we're spamming. We believe we're intruding. We're believing we're being pushy. The buyer thinks we're hustling.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to get the perspective. If I get an email from somebody and the message has got to be about me, it can't be, we've released a new product. That's an instant delete. Notice that in your industry, CMOs like yourself are concerned about this in the first quarter. Love to chat about you. Talked about 3 CMOs in your industry the other day and got some interesting data. Love to share it with you regarding your vision. Based upon you in the pharma industry, it's got to get enticing to me. We've announced a new product. I'm your account manager. I don't care. I got so much other stuff going on. So it's not just the number of touches, but that message. The best thing I can tell people, especially if they're going after something that's non-automated, where it's marketing gen and stuff, is if you're going to go after Mary, and Mary's a key person for you to go after, write your emails on your phone. 70% of emails are opened up on mobile devices, 120 words max. If you write it on your phone, you'll write it as the buyer is going to read it. If you try to write on a laptop or a desktop and send it, you're going to write a novel. It's going to go way past 120 words, and I'm going to delete it. Katie, the general rule is 1 swipe. If I've got my phone and I'm opening up an email and it takes more than 1 swipe, I'm deleting. So write your emails on your phones. Keep them short. Keep them about me, my favorite topic, my title, my company, my industry. But don't tell me yet about your product and what you do and how well you do it, why you're number one. This is the first date. I'm not asking you, don't ask me to get married here.
I absolutely love that analogy, Skip. It's the first date. You're not asking for a lifelong commitment.
You're not.
No Christmas at the in-laws.
That's exactly right. You're exactly.
Just a little drink at the local bar.
I'm going to steal that from you, Katie. I like that. No Christmas with the in-laws. I like that one.
I appreciate that, Skip. Well, our second question, it's super easy to identify the top officer. What's the best way to get his gatekeeper to become your gate opener or guide to the corporate power players? Oh, I like that. Gatekeeper to gate opener.
Yeah. And that
how do you win them? How do you schmooze them, Skip?
So, especially now with COVID, right? Nobody's in the whole office.
Mm-hmm.
So getting by gatekeepers has become harder slash easier. I love gatekeepers. Why? They're smart.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't have a stupid gatekeeper, if I was a senior executive, right? So every gatekeeper I had when I was an SVP or president of companies and stuff, I mean, they're smart people. And I talked to them. So why not sit there and ask the gatekeeper, hey, I'm trying to get a hold of Mary, and here's the reason why. As you guys look at the first quarter, there's things coming up. Have you heard Mary mention these things? I mean, have you heard Bob mention these things? I mean, where in the organization, and I love the word where, it's directional. Where in the organization do you think this kind of conversation is happening? Because once I get Mary involved in a conversation and build rapport, but it's got to be, guys, anytime you build rapport, it's got to be genuine. You can't fake it. If I try to fake rapport with somebody, they can feel the fakeness. You really want to try to have that gatekeeper become a gate opener. And the best way to do is just sit back and trust them that they're smart, they know what's going on, and their job is to help me. That's their job. Their job is to sit back and say, no, Mary's not interested in it right now. Well, where else in the organization do you think people are interested in this topic? Because it's a hot topic, or wherever it may be. So number one, make sure you use them and work with them, build a conversation with them. Number two, try to use the question where. It's a great question to keep going around, because once Bob, the gatekeeper, tells me where, I'm going to go there, and then I'm going to come back to Bob. Bob, I tried that. That's not really a good idea. Where else can we go? I mean, all of a sudden, I'm going to be using Bob to help me navigate through the organization. And typically, Bob wants to do that, whoever the gatekeeper may be. So build rapport, be genuine, be honest, respect their time, learn to pronounce their name correctly, and all those good things, and you'll get there. I mean, their job is to protect the senior executive from salespeople who want to talk about their product, their new release, their stuff. I interviewed about 100 CEOs a couple of years ago, and I asked them, why would you take a sales call? And they said we wouldn't. And we all had a fun time with that one. But then I said, really, why would you take a sales call? And they said, you know what? Don't tell me about my company, because I know about my company. Tell me what's going on. Tell me what's happening on the street, what's going on in the industry, what's going on with some of your customers or trends that you'll see. I'll give you 5 minutes. So, I mean, that's always a good kind of lead in, especially to the gatekeeper as well. Is Mary aware that these trends are happening? I'd love to get Bob's input. Additionally, the informational interview is still wonderful. We're coming out with a new product. Bob's a key player in our industry. I'd love to get Bob for 5 minutes to get his opinion on something. Senior levels love giving their opinions. So, and again, don't at that point try to sell them. I mean, really generate some sort of opinion poll and give it back to them. It works very effectively.
So I absolutely love that. I never knew it was called an informational interview, but I've definitely seen over the past 2 or 3 years, sellers all the way from SMB to field reps saying, hey, I'm just looking at this. I'm seeing this. What are are you experiencing this? What has been the result of this? Are you struggling with this? I recently sold network infrastructure stuff. So, hey, in these rural areas, we're seeing a lot of schools are having a hard time with their Wi-Fi network. Do you struggle with this as well? If this came out, would this help your situation? And then, like you said, you're building that genuine relationship.
And that's the great time to use the question where. Well, yeah. Mary, where in the organization is this happening? I'd love to get connected if possible, because I don't know if we could help or not. No idea, but I'd like to know more about the problem.
Yep. That's so good. The where, and I feel like if you're asking where instead of who, right? So instead of who should I talk to about this, who would be the right person, which is every SDR is trained. Who should I talk
to? So Katie, who is attacking? Who besides yourself, because you're an idiot, should I talk to? Because, right? Well, it's not the SDR or the salesperson's problem. It's the manager's problem. Yep. The manager has trained the rep. The rep comes up and goes, I have a hot one. And the manager goes, well, who's the decision maker? You better go find out who. So it's the manager. It's not the sales. Who's attacking? It's not a good thing. Yeah. Use who as a trailer. Where can we get this information and who would be involved? Where's the budget coming from and who's involved? You could use as a trailer. Just don't use the word who is up front. We feel confident. Who's making the decision? The buyer hears, you don't value me. You think there's somebody more important than me. You always got to sit in that customer chair, man. Always.
Yeah, That's a really good perspective of they're just as important. And sometimes, especially with SMB sales, the gatekeeper is the wife or the husband or someone very close whose opinion does matter. And so it's important to not run them over, because that's a surefire way to never get past them.
Katie, I was a senior VP, president of companies. I have my own company. If my office manager, gatekeeper tells me to do something, take a call, I'll take it. Skip,
Yeah.
I think you should listen to this. Fine. I mean, I'll take it. So it's not like I'm going to quiz her. Well, who is it? Why should I take? If my office manager, my gatekeeper, my office admin said, you should, you may want to think about doing this, I do it in a heartbeat. It's past the screen.
Yep. That's awesome. That is such great wisdom. Our next question, I just posted in here. We've got a little bit of background. So it says, I've been doing Outbound for years. My father handed me the yellow pages when I was 12 to set meetings for my parents' janitorial company. First off, I love that. I think that is awesome. So rock on to your dad for having him do that. Encourage you to do that. I'm a firm believer in Outbound and typically have more success via the phone versus email. I've had a difficult time being my normal self during COVID. Do you have any advice on how to approach things now versus a year ago? I think mentally I get hung up on, it's a global pandemic. Here I am calling to discuss changing IT vendors.
First, I love your father for kicking you out of the nest, right? I mean, just, here's a phone book, go forth and conquer, right? You got to love that. Tough love. Super stuff. Congratulations. What you're doing is helping your customers right now with COVID do something because they're doing something they hate to do. People right now, because of COVID, the buyers you're going after are doing something they hate to do. And what they're doing is they have to change. And people hate to change. People hate to change. It's why we still use the same toothpaste and the same soap we used when we were a kid, right? We hate changing. So right now, your senior level buyers, and quickly we call them, we think there's two value props for every deal, one below the line and one above the line. The below the line buyers, the user buyer, the above the line buyers, the fiscal buyer, the C-suite, and we think there's two value props. And for quick reference, we call it the kid table and the adult table. So I've got a big family. We used to get together for Thanksgiving and stuff. There were like 50, 60 of us. There were so many people. We had a kid table and the adult table. And the kids loved it because they get to talk kid talk. The adults love it because they don't have to talk kid talk. It's just two different conversations. And what you can't do is take an executive overview of the kid table to the adult table because it's just a totally different language. That said, as you're right now thinking about go prospecting to more above the line people, please remember that everything's changing. So instead of asking them, we have this stuff, do you think it would fit? John, as you look at 2021, you're having to make a lot of changes. Well, where do you see your biggest risks? Where do you see your biggest timing issues regarding those changes? In my book, I've identified a tool called Value Star, the 5 areas where ATL buyers really create value: ROI, time, risk, leverage, and brand. And by asking questions in those areas, you should be able to be very effective. So the best thing you can go, especially, don't get mentally hung up on a global pandemic here. Get hung up on people having to change. They don't know what their answer is. They don't know what the outcome they need, and they need help. They need information. Help them right now with their change. Hi, Mary. Hey, I'm Skip Miller with the ABC company. We offer a lot of stuff with IT vendors. Quick question. As you look at 2021, you're probably pulling your freaking hair out. What are your biggest challenges? I mean, I don't know if I can help or not, but if you give me 5 minutes, love to talk to you. Might be a great way to address things coming from we're helping people with their changes rather than we're helping people with their solutions that I don't even know what your solution is yet. But guarantee, because of COVID, everybody's changing.
I think that's great. I've been, for those of you, if you are on the thread, I am also taking as much notes as I rigorously can and posting them on here. So you'll be getting Skip's information on there as well. Our next question, right now in Europe, they're having a lot of problems accessing companies and client offices. I think that's obviously a global thing. Our poor field sellers don't know how to make deals off the golf course right now. So what do we do about that? How do we stay in front of our clients? How do we work with them whenever one, like you said, they're having to change how they buy because they're not building off of fabulous lunches and all these exciting events. But what does that look like? How do we adapt to that? And how do we work with our clients best whenever we can't be face to face?
Hey, I used to run a trade show company, and the trade shows in Europe were very different than the trade shows. And they were 6 foot tabletop shows. It wasn't the big, huge booth. It was local salespeople meeting local buyers, and we used to have 30 or 40 vendors at a show. And we provided the atmosphere. We provided some speakers, some cocktails and stuff, and so on. But the shows in America were very information centric. The shows in Europe were very rapport centric. People love going to shows quickly just because they get to see and talk to others and stuff and so on. We're seeing that a lot now, especially in Europe. So if I'm a salesperson, I might invite 2 or 3 of my customers who are CMOs, CPOs, CROs, whatever else, on a quick 30-minute chat. Talk about 2021. I've got 3 customers whose chief sales officers I can call up and say, listen, I need some help. I'm going to put you together with 2 other top CSOs. You'll build your network, but I'd love to get some opinions on what you're doing and put together a Zoom meeting and invite some people on it. Invite your prospects. It's hysterical on how people will sign on. Now, the goal here is not for 3 hours, right? 20, 30 minutes max typically works the best. But we've seen people do surveys, do outbound reaches. But the one in Europe I've heard working really well is the one where let's get 3 or 4 people on the phone just to chat about what's going on in 2021. Thanks. Just networking is working really well because people want to know what's going on because they're so removed from it. They're in their house, they're in their fortress. They don't know what's going on. We're seeing more and more of that. So any way you can, what I call throw a party, throw a party somehow virtually and invite people, and you'd be surprised. We worked with a company recently called Outsell that we were doing a survey of CSOs. And we're consistently getting 40, 50, 60, 100, 150 people answering these surveys. And we shared the results and everything else. And everybody got to kind of meet everybody because we'd have a phone call afterwards, a Zoom meeting. And we used to get a bunch of people on that. I've never really pitched anything to them, but it was a great way to network, build your rapport and stuff and so on. So try that. Just throw a party.
So I've got a question for you. Whenever we're thinking about throwing this virtual party, creating this networking type environment, and for us, we've got quota, we've got to make our numbers. What if we tossed in one of our current customers to kind of be a little bit of an advocate? Not necessarily not a giant pitch fest, but what if we bring in one of our current customers in addition to a few prospects? They're getting value, they're networking, they're seeing.
In a heartbeat, right? Because remember, one of the bigger areas for sales is upsell. Please don't tell me you have account A and you're fully penetrated in account A. So using your current customers all the time, especially if the information is pretty good. I mean, we know VPs at some great companies, right? So if I got something going on, I'm going to invite them to it. Let them choose or not to be on the call. But I mean, if I'm the VP of sales at Zoom, or I'm the VP of sales at Tableau, or I'm the VP of sales at Lucid, or wherever it may be, and you've got some stuff going on with some smarter people than me, I'll bug in. And I appreciate you asking me to bug in. Yeah. So definitely customers, especially the good logos you've got, I'd be all over it.
Okay, that's good to hear. Yeah, because I would think that would make sense. You're providing a good value, like you said. People want to see behind the fence. We've all got the nosy neighbors. All the businesses are trying to figure out how everyone's handling things. So that's really great to hear. And our next,
Katie, I was a VP of sales, and I once a quarter I'd be asking myself, am I nuts? Am I the only one thinking this? Am I the only one thinking that we should do this or go left or go right? And if I could actually have a little community where I could kind of talk to of senior VPs, let's all just chat, that'd be great. I want to make sure I'm not the only person out there who's, on the totem pole who's going to get shot for making stupid decisions. if we see some trends going left or right, I want to be in front of those trends. I don't want to be a pioneer, but I do want to be in front of those trends. And if you can invite me into a conference where people are kind of talking about that stuff, I'd appreciate it, quite frankly. And the salespeople thinks, no, I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to assume. No, let them make the choice.
So I guess a follow-up on that would be, what are your thoughts around creating like podcasts where you're inviting prospects on as guests to talk about these trends and topics and themes?
Perfect. Really, really good. Just make sure that you do the homework. Nobody wants to be on podcast where there's 3 people, right? So if you're going to do a homework on podcast, make sure it's well thought out. Make sure you put it together. Make sure it's it's really beneficial for the listener and stuff and so on. I mean, you'll start small, but just don't do it to try to get some contact, because everybody's going to realize that's the happening.
Yeah.
I mean, really do the homework. Podcast is a step up, but if you're going to do it, and we've seen a ton do really well, it takes a little work. Mm-hmm. But if your sales price is pretty high, you're not really transactional, your sales price is high enough where you probably need that kind of visibility, in a heartbeat, do it.
Gotcha. That's good. Good advice. And kind of dovetailing off of that, one of the next questions, how do we best tailor outbound messages to C-level execs? It's different. How?
What do C-level executives care about?
Bottom line, that money.
Yeah. Yeah. Guys, there's 3 words I want you to take away from this, and they're highlighted in the book, right? The first word is cause. Cause is a great word. Cause implies energy. It implies motivation. What would cause you to look at my stuff? No. What's caused you to say you got to make a change? What's happened that's caused you to say we have to make a change? It's a great word. Number 2, what's the outcome expected for the change being made? Below the line buyers, user buyers, don't know. They've given a task, they've been given a budget, they've been given stuff, go select this vendor, and I'll make it work. They don't know how it affects the overall business outcome. Example, I'm the president of a $100 million company. And in 2021, I think I've got 80% in the bag. I got a $20 million gap. So one of the things I really want to do is get my salespeople to sell higher better. Okay. So let's go pick a sales training vendor. Now, the person who's in charge of sales training, they're going to select a good vendor, good coursework, good everything, make sure all the attendees are there. Me, I want to make a dent in that freaking 20 million. That's my outcome.
Yep.
So when I get to a C-level, the first thing I ask them is, what's causing you to make a change? Number 2, what's the outcome expected for the change? Am I going to be a whole part of the change? No. Can I make a dent in it? Oh, yeah. So those 2 words, if I'm outbounding to a C-suite, will be top of mind. We a year or so ago, we started a relationship with a company in Salt Lake City, Lucid. And roughly, pick a number, they were a $100 million company. We got on a Zoom, and Dan, the senior VP, and Peter, the VP of North America, got on the Zoom. And they said, okay, Skip, we're looking at a couple of vendors. Please tell us who you are, what you're all about. Happy to listen to you. I go, great. But before we do, what's causing you guys to say you have to make a change? What you doing? Well, with this, that, the other. I go, well, what's the outcome expected? And Dan looked at Peter. Peter looked at Dan. They looked at me. Dan looked at Peter. Peter looked at me. And they go, well, that's the question, isn't it? and they had a revenue gap that we're not going to solve, but we're going to make a dent in. And you go, Skip, we've talked to 5 vendors. You're the first one who's asked us these questions, because everybody else was just busy pitching their stuff. Word number 1, cause. Word number 2, outcome. Word number 3, decide. Buyers don't like to be closed. Buyers love making decisions. John, it sounds like we could have a presentation on Wednesday. Do you see yourself making a decision on Friday? Buyers love the word decide. They don't like the word close. They don't like, I'll send you a proposal and I'll hear back from you on Friday. Let's meet on Friday. No, ask a buyer-centric question. Do you plan on making a decision? These 3 words should help your listeners today in their outbounding efforts. Number 1, make sure in your emails, your voicemails, you intertrain the word cause. What's caused you guys, as you look at 2021, what's going to cause you guys to make a change? And how risky do you see that? If you think it's pretty risky, we should probably chat. Love and kisses, Skip. Great memo, great attack, right? Number two, many people are trying to do changes with outcomes regarding revenue, EBITDA, earnings, churn. If these are outcomes you're looking at 2021, maybe we should chat.
Mm.
I know that VPs of sales want a couple things. They want to shorten their sales cycles. They want to increase their average sales price. They want to ramp their people faster. I kind of know that. I kind of know the outcomes they want for 2021. So if we prospect, I'm going to use those outcomes. Not we're the number one sales training. I just put out a new book. Whatever. No, we don't want to do that. So those are some helpful hints, hopefully, to get your people to outbound more to the above the line buyers.
Wow, that's so helpful. I've never thought of the buyer centric question at the end of the decision, not the so when are we gonna make this happen, or trying to be all cute about it. But no, hey, when's a decision gonna be made? I never thought about how. And I'm sure many of us, right? That's not something that they teach us in Sales 101. And as we're stumbling through our complex deals on checking in when these decisions are going to be made. So,
Katie, I've got a son and two daughters, and when my daughters were 16, they were under the misperception they're going to be driving my car around town. No. So my one daughter, we bought her an economical car. She loved it the whole bit. My other daughter, an athlete, sort of like a tomboy, we decided we had to buy a car that would prevent her hurting other people on the road when she was driving. So we had bought my son a used Toyota 4Runner, 10 years old, 100,000 miles. They're cheap. They don't break. We're going to go buy her a 4Runner. A 10-year-old one, cheap, right, the whole bit. So we go to the local Toyota dealer Saturday at 10 o'clock. Guy comes out, John. Hi, my name is John. Hi, Skip, daughter Alex. He goes, welcome to Toyota Stevens Creek. He goes, I'm going to close you today. No, that's what he said. No, guess what? I'm sure his manager at 9 o'clock said, come on, guys, we got to get 30 closed. Let's go close him. Well, he took him like freaking literally.
Yeah.
20 minutes later, we're next door at the Mazda dealer who happened to have a used 4Runner. Guy comes out, same name, John. He goes, hi, Skip, daughter Alex. He goes, I have a question for you. He goes, do you plan on making a decision today? I felt great. Yes, it's great. It's a buyer-centric word. Buyers love making decisions. Instead of asking for the close, asking for the order, asking for ink, asking for the deal, John, do you see yourself making a decision on this by Friday? That's all I want to know. And buyers love it. Yes, I can make a decision on Friday. So it's a great buyer-centric words.
And I bet too, internally, whenever it's like, well, I'm decisive. Of course I can make a decision. Why wouldn't you think I couldn't make a decision? I bet there's that little internal dialogue.
When can I have the order? Oh man, I got to clear it through legal, through purchasing, oh man, I don't know. I'll get back to when you can have the order. The order follows the decision. Get the decision first, man.
That's good. Oh, I love that. And our next question kind of plays into, before we even get to the decision phase, as we're going through these complex sales, how do we coordinate with our lead gen and our early stage sales interactions to make sure that we're minimizing this awkward fumbling of individual exchanges passing on to another person?
Yeah, that throwing over the fence is always fun, right? You start building rapport with somebody, you're going, well, I have to throw you over my AE now, and as the buyer, I'm like, I was talking to you, I was building rapport with you, yeah. Right? The best way to do it is to make sure you stay focused on the buyer, not the seller. I'm going to turn you over to an account executive who's got more years of experience. I don't care. John, it sounds to me like you're really interested. A very sincere, this is really a hot issue for you. I'm going to turn you over to somebody who's got a lot more experience than me, and really, so you can have a more advanced conversation. That's fair. It's truthful, but make it about me. Don't sit there and tell me, I'm going to turn you over to Fred. Fred's the greatest guy, and he's super, and he's wonderful. He really knows what's going on. No, make it about me. Think about CX, right? I'll call up Apple support, and all of a sudden Apple goes, well, that's a complex question. I'm going to get somebody else involved. I feel great. I feel like I'm talking now to a more important person. So make it more about me, not about you. We've seen tons of handoffs where, I'm just the SDR and I'm going to throw you over to an account executive who really knows what's going on. Well, why don't you know what's going on? How long have you been an SDR? A year? You don't know what's going on? I mean, how does that speak to your company? Talk about issues, challenges, their solution, what's going on about them more than us should help you with that change. Because then I'll feel important that I'm being elevated in your company to a resourceful measure. That's what I want, not, just being thrown over to somebody who's now is going to, really try to sell you.
That's good. Yeah, I know that that's always in a comfortable spot. And I think with a lot of sales development orgs or inside orgs, they don't really spend as much on that. It's get the demo, get the demo, get the demo. And then you're sitting there, I've got the demo. now what do I do now?
I published about a week or so ago a list of buy-centric words and sales-centric words. Nobody on the planet wants to sit through a demo. Are you serious? Now, I want to be educated or I want to be validated, but no. So this whole demo, let's do a demo. Really, that's right up there with let's have a meeting, right? John, I think a good next step is we really should educate on what you want to accomplish and what we can do. We could do that with a demo. How, don't lead with a sales-centric word. I think a good next step should be like a meeting. Oh, really? Like a meeting? Like a meeting? Oh boy, let me mark that little puppy down, right? I think we should do a presentation. Oh, dim the lights, let me fall asleep. Let's go. No, so use more buyer-centric words up front. John, this sounds exciting. As a next step, why don't we really do a deep dive? It involves kind of a mix of a presentation and demonstration, but at the end, you'll be very knowledgeable about what's going on and I'll know more about you. Does that sound good? Make sure you put buyer-centric words up front, not sales-centric, because buyers don't talk about demos or presentations. They talk about outcomes. They talk about ROI. They talk about risks. They talk about a lot of other things than just sales words.
That's so good. The next question we've got in here kind of deals with the same areas as we're looking at our outbounding and prospecting, right? It's that balance of quality and quantity. And even though our managers are asking for 100 emails a day, 100 phone calls a day, how do we keep that quality, top of mind while maximizing our output?
So, Katie, I want you to rephrase that for me. What do you
Okay.
think that question is really saying?
How do we still hit our numbers and still make it personal and custom and to the prospect's needs?
So I'm missing the point. Most customers that I talk to, when they're having to do their own outbounding, right? I mean, really outbounding.
Yeah.
What you just asked me, they tell me takes an hour a day. If you
Mm.
do it right, it takes an hour a day. This seems like it's the problem's bigger than reality here, right? So, if you want to cut down on your quantity to improve quality, do that. Then you can increase quality. If you're not getting the quantity out there, double what you're doing. And then you can start working on quality. Those are your control knobs, quality and quantity. You start working on one and then the other, and it goes back and forth. It's probably the best attempt. But when someone throws up their hands and goes, I can't get it done, I can't get it done. Guys, you want to outbound effectively? 10 to 12 touches in a 2-week window to 25, 40 people is quite a bit. And you're going to, if your quality is good, you're going to get 30, 40% open rates. Now, if you're doing that, you're getting 5% open rates, your message sucks. If you're only doing it to 10 people, right, and you're getting 6 open rates, increase your quantity. But your quality and quantity are your control knobs. Most people get frustrated with the quantity. They're throwing out 60 and getting 3. Well, that's not a quantity issue. That's a quality issue. 30%, 40% open rates are not impossible. So stop with this 6 to 7, 11% open rates. We've seen a lot bigger open rates if you really work on the messaging, make it about me, don't talk about yourself, all that kind of stuff.
Gotcha. So that the 10 super high quality, that's where your money's going to be at versus the 100 generic Joe Schmo spiel.
I'm going to go after 10 people, and my goal is try to get 6 or 7 of them. And I'm going to really work on my homework and messaging, and it won't take me more than an hour a day. For 10 people, it'll take me a half hour, and I'll get some responses. I'll go after referrals. I'll get on their LinkedIn and see if they know somebody I know and stuff and so on. But I'm going to get those 10. And those 10 better be at ATL. They better not be at BTL, because BTL, all they want to do is talk about us. I want to talk about us. We all talk about us, and nothing happens. So if you're going to do this, be a little bit more selective. Be a rifle, not a shotgun.
Mm.
and mix quantity with quality. And the best quality we've seen, I mean, there's tons of good things out there regarding quality. But when someone sends me an email and I review it, I see the word I think, I believe, my favorite, my all-time favorite. I know we can help. You don't even know what I do yet. You don't even know what my problem is. And you're telling me you can help. The number one thing C-levels told me that they resent is they hate salespeople who are solutions hunting for a problem.
Mm.
Keep the solution in the bag, man. Start hunting for problems is fine. But don't all of a sudden, my favorite, listening skills. Listen for keyword, then launch. Yeah, we're looking for something in the mobile space. Mobile? I mean, just, guys, stop being solutions hunting for problems. Be sincere about hunting for problems. Then figure out if you've got some sort of a solution. The other way around, buyers see it coming, and boy, watch how fast they delete that little puppy.
It kind of reminds me, my mom's been in real estate for about almost 30 years now. And she always says something, buyers are liars and sellers are too. And it kind of reminds me that, hey, if you're
Sure
looking,
that.
yeah, if you're just selling your solution and not even really knowing, how can you even have real authentic conversations and build that rapport? But for those that don't know, can you kind of elaborate what BTL and ATL means? Because I'm sure it's not Atlanta and
And Baltimore. No. There's two types of value propositions to customers. The fiscal in a B2B sale. The
mm-hmm.
fiscal, right? I got a $20 million problem. We have a gap of 30 million. We've got to get 10 points of market share. We've got to get 10 points of EBITDA, whatever it may be. Now, if they're meeting their goals, they don't have a problem. They don't have a problem. They don't have to make a change.
Yeah.
Typically, if they've got a problem, they have to do a change. So the BTL buyer is the one who will be responsible for the project. All right, so we have to go pick a new software. We have to go pick new something. They're looking at features and benefits and how it stacks against the competition, right? The whole bit. So the best in one of my last books, I called it the printer story. My office manager said we need a new printer. And I'm like, well, how much is a printer? She said it'd be $1,000. I go, no, not for a printer. Well, long story short, we got to buy a printer. She was concerned about 32 pages a minute, 3 cartridges, the run rate. She was really concerned by. I had no idea if we bought a Brother, a Canon, HP. I have no idea. All I know is I had a problem that my cost per workbook, that we sell out was double what it should be. So if we could buy something that cuts the cost of my notebook in half, fine, we'll buy it. I mean, I didn't care if it was $1,000 or $1,200 because I was looking at the cost of our workbooks for our student training classes was way out of whack.
Yeah.
So that's what we were doing. And buying the printer was like, well, I like this one over this one because it's just 32 pages a minute versus 28 pages a minute. I didn't care. I had something else going on. So there's two value propositions. Both are important. You can win ATL, lose BTL, lose the deal. You can win BTL, lose ATL. But what we see typically, Katie, is we get below the line. They want to talk about us. We want to talk about us. We're all talking about us. And then I finally give them a proposal. And then I go to the ATL, go, what do you think about our stuff? And the ATL goes, well, that's up to Bob. Bob's buying this. And you don't even speak the ATL language.
Yeah.
So in the new Outbounding book, we really do a good job of separating church and state. Here's the kid table, the adult table. If you're going to prospect to the kid table, here's some things to say. Prospect to the adult table. And what's fun, I'm looking on the people who are here in the meeting. Hey, James, hey, Race, and stuff and so on. I mean, these people that I know from companies who are really good at what they're doing, they're here on this seminar because if you want to be a student of the game, the more you can be a student of the game, the better you are. But ATL, BTL, the last thing you want to do is try to contact C-suite in BTL language. Doesn't work.
Yep.
And we've already talked about it. ROI, time, risk, those types of things are really ATL's words.
Wow. I think that's such great perspective. I would love to hear what advice would you give to those sellers who are having a hard time in hiding behind I need to spend 5 hours to make super custom and super important messaging. What encouragement would you give to them?
Get a new job.
Sales is not for you.
Jeez. I had a sales guy one time that told me he had to do all his homework and he had like 3 file cabinets office. I went into his office with a dolly to remove the file cabinets. I mean, geez, just go get hurt. I'm a firm believer of fears. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of loss, the fears of man, according to Napoleon Hill. And we fear rejection big time.
Yep.
Put myself out there. I don't want to hear the word no. People who buy from us are great. People who don't buy from us are jerks, right? So the concept is I fear rejection. The best thing you can do is be on a mission. I'm on a mission where I'm going to help my customers make money. I don't know how yet. They need to talk to me for 5 minutes. So just be on. Why would a C-suite person give me 5 minutes? I don't know. Try it. Call them up and see what happens.
Yep.
It's hysterical. And then you'll get better at it. And then you'll get really good at it. So the best thing to do is get out there, try. This 5 hours of homework stuff, really? I mean, great. But I don't have 5 hours, right? As a senior executive, as an ATL buyer, if you come at me going, listen, other people are thinking this, as you look at 21, you time travel a bit and say, here's what's going on. There's a bunch of tools in the Outbounding book, right? And guys, if you can't afford it, send me an email. We have a couple we're giving away for free here. I mean, come on. So it's just the whole concept is to get out there and start trying stuff. If you want to spend 5 hours, you better be looking at $10, $20 million ASPs because we just don't have time. Yeah.
Yeah. Great advice. Great suggestions. One of our next questions here, how do you blend email, phone calls, and LinkedIn touches when outbound prospecting? And a follow-up, do you feel one channel works better than the other?
The statistics we did were really remarkable, and everybody agreed. Multiple channels are better. Mm-hmm. Just using phone, just using LinkedIn typically gets you about a 10% return. By using multiple channels, LinkedIn and phone, and email, whatever it may be, get you to 20, 30% response rate. So whatever you're good at, if you're good at the phone, lead with it. If you're good at emails and LinkedIn, go with it. Also, try to make sure you're good, get better at the things you're not good at. I'm not really good on the phone. Well, suck it up and try it. Let's go. Read some books on how to better cold call or how to use the phone. I'm not really good on LinkedIn. You know how many courses there are on LinkedIn on how to use LinkedIn? I mean, do some homework here. Just don't tell me you're not good at it. What we see consistently is people rely on what they think they're good at. I'm good at emailing. And then I read their emails, they're terrible. So be a student of the game. If you're not good on the phone, practice 10 calls a day. Let's go. You'll get better. Just, it's the whole thing about, if you don't try, you never know what you really have. The whole thing, stress your strength, the whole good to great, focus on what's there, what's not there. I get it. Right now with COVID, you basically have the phone, you've got, and texting. Texting is now open game. Emails and LinkedIn. That's basic, and things like surveys, throw a party, that type of stuff, podcast. I mean, that's what you got. Mm-hmm. You cannot say I'm only good at 1 or 2 of these. You got to become more of a master communicator, and just spend some time doing that. And there's tons of videos on how to be a better LinkedIn researcher, how to really do a good phone call. Quick, you get on the phone, you get a hold of somebody. Hello, do you know what you're doing to them? You're interrupting them. Mm-hmm. People hate being interrupted. So if I know that, I can counter that. I can break that pattern and stop, begging, I'm sorry I interrupted. I'm just sorry. No, if you just do some homework on how to be good at some of these skill sets, communication skills, the better off. And by the way, most people I know are terrible listeners. Read a book on listening skill sets. I mean, come on, there's a ton out there. Read a good book on listening skill sets. It's hard work. The difference between hearing and listening is really important. And there's a difference. So learn, be a student of the game.
Just a little follow-up on that. You talked about texting. I am personally not a big fan of it, depending on what industry you're in. I would be so upset if I got a text message from somebody on the first touch. But that's me. What do you see? What are some trends around that, especially with prospecting?
It depends on industry a lot, right? I was a huge anti-texter. Don't you dare text me. That's my personal phone and stuff. Well, now everyone's using their personal phone for business.
Yep.
Because they're not in the office. I don't know if I'd text on a first touch or second touch, But in my cadence, if I'm starting to get some sort of rapport, I would definitely use it.
Mm.
Some industries, believe it or not, it's wide open. It's fair game. Some industries are like foreboding, but we see more and more opening up. I don't think I'd start with a text. I'd start with an email or LinkedIn or a phone call. And by the way, phone calls are still the
Yes.
best touches.
Yes.
Sorry, they're still the best communication device. It's the only one that's interactive two-way communication.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only one. And you can actually read somebody's voice tonality. It's a tough time to do that on email. But I mean, if you're going to start using it, texting, I would use it in my Sequent Touch 5, 7, 8. I wouldn't use it in my first or second one without a doubt.
Gotcha. Yeah. So once you build that rapport, I know we've only got time for one more question. It kind of ties into whenever we're prospecting and adding texting with with how things are right now. And with so many companies like Microsoft and I think Pinterest and a few others moving fully remotely, what do you foresee as either software sales or sales in general, if that's going to kind of stay more remote, or what do you think, what trends could kind of come from that in the upcoming months?
So, like anything else, trends create challenges, create opportunities,
Mm.
right? So, yeah, you're going to see remote people. I mean, people are moving like crazy out of the city, here in the
Yeah.
Bay Area. So, people are, moving out of New York and moving to Cincinnati, or they're leaving San Francisco and moving to Modesto, or whatever it may be. So, you're seeing these trends. They're going to be hard to change.
Mm.
With these trends, communications is terrible. There's no, let's all meet in the meeting room. So, productivity is dropping. How does your stuff affect productivity? These new trends that are happening are creating new opportunities and new problems. We used to have 20 people in a room to do a week's worth of ramping. How do you ramp people remotely now effectively? How are you changing that up? So just look at the trends that are happening. Remote's going to be here to stay for at least through 2021. Right? Nobody's going to be going back into their offices, although there are some people already back in the offices, the
Yeah.
engineering teams and stuff and so on. But guys, just look at what the trends say the new problems are that create the new opportunities, rather than, it's hard. Sales cycles are changing. If you don't think that's so true, it's easier to get C-suite, it's easier to get ATL on the phone than ever before. I listened to a chorus call the other day, and it was the president of a company and the BTL and the salesperson and the sales manager on a chorus call. Within 5 minutes, the CEO goes, "This is perfect. This is exactly what we need." The salesperson goes, "Thank you. As our next step, we're going to do a demonstration. When should we schedule that?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" The
Not the
CEO's going,
demo.
I mean, geez, why didn't ask for a decision? I mean, this is, so my goal is right now, change your sales cycles up. If you actually cut an axe and cut your sales cycles in half, you wouldn't be too far from the truth.
Mm.
Sales cycles should be cut in half, because access to power, access to these people is a lot quicker than we've got to schedule a meeting. I got to fly in. That's how it's happening. So look at change, look at opportunities. Yeah, COVID's changing everything up, but things are happening a lot faster now, not slower.
Wow, great suggestions. I know we're coming to the end of our time here, Skip. It has just been such a joy to have you. I know you've provided a lot of great insight. I know you've got some really exciting things happening in your life. If you want to take a few minutes, I would love, and I'm sure everyone else would too, to learn a little bit about your fabulous book that you're so generously going to be giving 3 of them away today. I'd love to get a little overview and why should everyone hop on, hopefully Amazon, and buy it too.
I hate writing books. They're a pain in the butt. It's 4:30 in the morning type of thing, right? But when I see a problem, I got to figure it out. So about a year ago, I saw people 20, 30% short of their numbers. The inbound lead stuff was going to cover it, but not enough. So then I saw salespeople just, okay, we'll get more inbound, or I'll send a few. Nobody was doing it well. So nobody was talking about cadences and sequencing and messaging and content. And so fine, I'm very, very, very tactical. So in the book, there's a ton of tactics about what to say in an email, what kind of cadence to say, how to actually write a breakup email, how to write an ABC email, how to write a status email. I mean, there's basic tactics. So when I see a problem, I call my publisher up, who loves when I want to write a book, and they go, "Okay, Skip, love it," right? The whole bit. So outbounding is basically, guys, I didn't think I was, as a salesperson, pretty good at it. So I just called a bunch of companies up and said, I understand you're pretty good at this. What's your secret sauce? What's your stuff? And a lot of them opened up. A lot of them gave me some really great ideas about what's going on. And that's what's really in the book. So we structured the book as a salesperson, as an AE or SDR, BDR. You know, how do I get better at quantity and quality? And what are some best practices? So I thought I'd put it together in a book, and out it comes next Tuesday. So, and you can pre-order now, but happy to help. And guys, if you want to shoot me a question, skip at m3learning.com. Skip, here's my email. Would you redline it and stuff? Happy to help. I mean, that's what we all do. So just, if somebody's really serious about being a student in the game, send me an email. I'd be happy to help.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I love the practical. I think everyone on this call would agree, since they're here to learn, right? Any type of practical application is so important. It's instead of just these silly in the air concepts. So thank you so much, Skip. We have 3 attendees that asked some amazing questions. And Mary, our community strategist, put everyone's names in a raffle. And we have Cameron Marks, Miguel Martinez, and Core, and I'm so sorry, I'm totally gonna say your last name wrong. Please forgive me. Fokins. And then our t-shirt is gonna go to Grace De Los Santos. So thank you all so much for joining. If you didn't get a chance to check out any of the questions, I tried my best to keep answers on them. Check out the website, and we're going to be sending the recording out too in a little bit. But Skip, thank you so much. You provided
It's been a pleasure. You guys do such a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Everyone, have a great afternoon and enjoy the rest of your week. And we will talk with y'all soon. Thank you so much.